Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wirral Theatre Festival podcast. You've got myself here, Robbie, you've got Craig.
Hello.
And we're very lucky today. We've got our guests from Spin the Imperfect. We've got the writer and one of the actors, Ted Grant.
Hello.
And we've got one of the actors and the producer of the company who's putting it on. We've got Kirsten Hawkins.
Hi there.
So, tell us a little bit about you, Ted, where you've come from, what you've done maybe so far in life, and like what's brought you to acting.
Right, okay. I was born in Bradford in West Yorkshire. I came to Liverpool about 10 years ago. Wasn't actually involved in writing or acting at all at that point. I was more into politics, actually. But I got into acting in 2019. I just saw an advert on Facebook for a beginner's acting course at Merseyside Academy of Drama. I just signed up pretty much straight away. Had a look at the cost. Thought it's not too expensive. I thought, why not? I'll just give it a go. And just signed up there and then, and I started doing acting lessons and found I absolutely loved it. And I thought,
for it.
Yeah, there's absolutely no going back here. This is like what I want to do. Loved it so much, and got a few parts and a few plays as a consequence. And then it's kind of developed from there, really. And I've just become, I just wanted to do my own things now. I've just decided that I'll become a writer as well and start putting on my own stuff.
I think if you're you're creative in any aspect you can get your head to, if that makes sense. Like, as an actor myself, like sometimes I think, oh, you know what, I've got a really good idea as well. And I don't think that necessarily means I'm a good writer, but if I've got the idea, I can either try and write it myself or pitch it to someone else. I think a creative is just a creative.
I think so, yeah. Basically, it doesn't have to stop with the acting. I think we've all got lots of ideas in our heads and we just want to kind of get it out there. I'm not even sure I'm a good writer. I don't really know, but I know I've got ideas and I want to just try and have a bash, and I'm fairly confident that I can sort of...
Absolutely. I think the other thing people are afraid of in this day and age is like being open to criticism, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love, like, we've had some writers groups, haven't we, Craig?
Oh, we have.
And like we sit and tear each other's scripts apart nicely, or we'd be like, oh, that now I've heard that doesn't make sense, and we're helping each other to get the best things. And not everyone's open to that, I find, that I've met along my journey. Whereas I'm like, do you know what, if it's rubbish, just tell me. I can always disagree with you. I don't have to agree with your advice. And I always say, I work with kids and I say that to them. This is my advice on what you're doing in your drama. You can ignore me though. It's only advice, but I have done it a long time, so it's up to you what you think about it. And I think we're losing an openness as a nation, or I don't even know if it's in the world or not. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that as a question, I must admit.
I can't waffle, I'm sorry.
We've suddenly gone very profound, haven't we?
Ted, how would you solve world peace?
Get rid of all the guns.
Well, do you know what? I do think art and creativity and
it's an expression
is really important, actually, isn't it? Because I think whenever we hear about something that's closed down, or another theatre that's closed, I just think it kills a bit of humanity. I really do, and it just kind of, we need more creativity. We need more outlets for people to be able to be themselves.
I heard an interesting thing on a podcast actually a couple of days ago, and there was a guy who was saying we aren't made creative. Creativity is educated out of us. Mm-hmm. If you look at children, they're creative. He said, I was doing a drawing workshop and there was a little girl and she was doing a picture, and the teacher's like, she never does anything. She said, what are you drawing? She said, I'm drawing God. I said, well, how can you draw God? No one knows what he looks like. And she said, they will in a minute. And she had that creativity. She obviously had a picture in her head of what she thought a God looked like, and she was drawing it. But it's as we get older, depending on who you meet in your life, they say, oh, do this or don't do that, or you should be like this or you should be like that. And I'm not against that, because obviously we have to shape ourselves, but you should always have a little bit of freedom about yourself that sometimes we're told is, like, you get to a certain age, like, oh, you shouldn't wear clothes like that. I said, but why shouldn't I wear clothes like that? Is it you who's bothered or me who's bothered? Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
You just get emboldened, I think, don't you? We all go to the theatre, we all see things that we enjoy, and I think sometimes we just sort of go, I want a little piece of that. I think you mentioned before about theatre being a bit ego-driven, and I think you can't...
That's me, by the way, Craig. I think it's ego-driven in the theatre.
Craig, sorry, yeah. It is. I think we've all got a little bit in us that wants us to put something on the stage and other people to go, wow, that was good. That impressed me.
Well, if you think about it, when you're on stage, it is basically, look at me, for better or for worse, isn't it? Because whether you like it or not, they've paid to come and watch you. And in some ways, I'm always awe-inspired as an audience member. Wow, there's 1,000 people here watching that person or those 10 people. Like, that's amazing. And I think that's kind of where I got my acting bug. I was like, I think I'd quite like people to look at me and go, oh, that's amazing. You know, not that I think anything I have done is amazing, but it must be a nice feeling, and it is. I mean, this festival for me is the first time I've been on a proper stage in 4.5 years, so I am nervous because I'm doing a one-man show. I can't get anything wrong because no one can save me from any hole if I fall into it. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about yours, which is, tell us the title and what your inspiration was for that story.
So the play is called Spin the Imperfect. It's a line from a play that I was in, and I just liked the line so much that I wanted to use it. But obviously I needed some ideas to write a play. And I've always been interested in like reviewing and critique and things like that. I do a bit of, have done a bit of reviewing in the past. Kirsten has as well. Kirsten still does reviewing. I don't do so much anymore. And so there was a programme on called Newsnight Review, which basically stopped about 10 years ago, which was after Newsnight had finished. And it used to be like 3 critics sat around on a comfy sofa, like a Graham Norton style sofa, kind of discussing the latest book or play or film. And they'd do it in this very highfalutin, very sort of kind of erudite and very sort of fancy way, and it just kind of, I don't know, there's something about the language that they use. I used to find it funny at times.
Like Eton Presents.
Yeah, it was very sort of unapologetically kind of highbrow, and you just don't get those kind of things on the telly anymore. I don't think you just don't. We're kind of a bit suspicious of it or something, and it was sort of simultaneously funny because of some of the language that they used. It was so kind of up itself, and also very informative as well, because they were talking about theatre and books and films in this very kind of proud way, and I just decided that's kind of like the basis for the play. I was going to write a play that had these critics,
and it's got that kind of language in it.
It's got that kind of feel,
flowery, I would call it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I've tried to replicate it using my kind of memory of that show, basically.
Fab. So has it almost become like a pastiche, would we say, or not?
It is a pastiche. It's very much, it's a satire and a pastiche, I would say. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we'll come over to you. Was it Kirsten or Kristen? I think I said the wrong one earlier.
Kirsten.
If I said Kristen in the intro, I so apologise for that. You're part of the company, aren't you? So do you want to tell us a bit about, like, because I can't even think what the company name is.
Fourth Wall Productions.
Fourth Wall Productions. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Fourth Wall and what you've done or what the plans are going forward, if any?
Well, I'm an actor, so I want more opportunities to act, and I find that it can be a little bit stifling when you're reading plays and sitting there waiting for permission, or in Ted's case, writing plays and waiting for permission to put them on. I just think having a production company, it takes that...
One barrier gone.
It takes that barrier away, and you're in control, and you can just put it on, and all you need to do is find a venue, find some actors and rehearse, and you've got a show, which is really appealing. So we decided that we'd come up with our own production company that would enable us to be creative in the ways that we love.
I mean, I've always been a big advocate of, if you can't find the work, not that you're not good, make the work. If you can, if you've got ideas, make it.
I've heard so many stories about young actors who come out of courses where they've studied drama, and then they just get a job and then they don't act, and sometimes people come back and say, oh, I used to do drama when I was young, but then life happened and I know I don't feel comfortable.
Or they say, I went to drama and go, oh, what are you in now? A coffee shop.
Yeah, that's me. That's exactly me.
Not that there's anything against that, but we go specifically for those courses, don't, because we want to be a creative. But sometimes there is. This is one of the reasons I wanted to put the festival on, and Craig, when we had a chat initially, believe it or not, it started out as Craig said, Robbie, should we put on a show on together? I'm like, why should we stop at one show?
Yeah,
and it did kind of spiral out of control, and probably going to have much bigger black bags in my eyes in August, but I'll be very proud, hopefully. We're going to work really hard with it.
One of the things that I find quite interesting when I'm creating my own work is it takes a little bit of the stress away of going through like the audition process, because some people who are good actors don't necessarily audition audition well. And if you kind of know like what you're capable of doing, and you start writing your own projects to kind of show off your own talent and to maybe test yourself in a way you can shine, it kind of gives you a platform.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because I think it's as important to obviously be able to get the job done as an actor, but you've got to be good to work with as well. Like, if you can't work with someone, I personally don't care how good they are. If I can't work with them, I'm not going to enjoy that process. So they're going to be bumped down on my list because, okay, they can get it done, but if someone else comes in and is good and can 75% get it done, I'll probably choose to work with them because it's going to be a much more fun process for everybody involved.
Yeah, I'm pretty guilty of that for this production because I know a lot ordinarily would like to audition all the parts and everything, and I didn't do that. I must admit, I kind of handpicked the actors for
That's
it.
fine if you know they can deliver and you trust them. Like, if you look at all those great TV series, because you're probably a similar age bracket to me, and great, are we all similar age bracket? Like, I'm mid-30s.
I think I'd love to be in the same age bracket as you guys.
Do you know what I mean? If you remember like all those TV shows, like all the Victoria Wood ones, you'd see the same actors in all the series because they'd get the job done, and they were obviously a little group of workers that, in Victoria Wood's case, she knew probably could get the job done and could do this character, I probably imagine she wrote some of her series with certain actors in mind. I think that's a great way to go.
Yeah, it's helped me, definitely. It's basically simplified the process a lot.
It's just, can you tell your friends off if they do something wrong or if they're late for a rehearsal? That's the only issue you could ever run into. Like, you've got to have a bit of, they are my mates as well.
Yeah, that was always the bit I was a bit nervous about. Obviously, directing the show as well as being the writer was like, can I tell people what to do? Because it's obviously, I'm an actor and I'm used to being told what to do, and all of a sudden I've got this other hat on and I've got to try and kind of
bring the
guide
dream together.
people. Yeah, but luckily I've got such good actors that it hasn't really happened. There's been no fallings out at all.
Fabulous.
It's been a very, very easy process really, and I just trust them and they trust me, and we're doing it as a collaboration.
Do you think you two keep each other honest? Like, maybe if he goes a bit too far or you don't like it, you're like, I'll just tell him straight away.
It's been an interesting process because it's the first time we've really worked together. I mean, we were in one show together at Mad, but
it does make or break people. Hopefully make, but no, but it's such a big commitment.
Have you thought this through, guys?
We've always had I'm not saying it's always easy. It's never easy to hear criticism, but he has to give me notes about my acting. And there maybe have been moments where I've not been as receptive as other moments. But at the same time, I can tell him if I think his directing style is going a little bit too far, which generally it doesn't. But yeah, I think we've always promised each other that we would keep ourselves honest. Because
and I won't be too nice or too nasty because I know you or I don't know you kind of thing. I'll treat you the same as everyone else in this room.
Absolutely.
As much as possible. It is important, but you've got to be able to accept that as well, like you say, and it's easy to say we can accept it, but sometimes it's really hard after someone you love to be like, I don't like what you've just said to me.
But then there came a point later, because we've done this play for the Leverhulme Festival, and there came a point later on where I was like, please give me notes, give me more notes, because I want to play this character better.
And you didn't come out of that, well, you said 6 weeks ago.
No, it's been painless, hasn't it? It really has.
In some ways, though, if it works well as a partnership, I think it could bring people closer. Like lockdown, I find made or breaked couples. For me, I was lucky it made me and my partner. Like, we really thrived on having so much time together. But I think for a lot of couples, they were not used to spending so much time in close quarters, and it could kind of jar, and people's issues came out. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, we're digressing. We should get back to the play, because tell us exactly kind of what's the content of the play. So you've said it's like a kind of an interview, isn't it? And I think you actually play, don't you, the interviewer.
I do.
In the play, but what's the kind of the rough storyline? Like, if we could say it in 4 sentences, what would they see?
The rough storyline is Britain's greatest playwright is struggling, and his latest play has been reviewed poorly, and he needs to go to he basically resorts to desperate measures to make sure that he doesn't die as a playwright. Basically, he's going on he's not on the show personally, but he kind of intercepts the critics and the presenter before it goes live, and he's got inside information about the presenter, and he's got a proposition, shall we call it?
Oh, I like a proposition
for the critics, so that they can save his career.
So are they watching?
That's the setup.
Are they watching a version of the review show, or is it all the backstage bit?
We see both.
Okay.
Yeah, we see the actual what is goes live on television. We see that, as well as the preamble to that and a bit in between that and what happens after that. So,
Oh,
it's
okay, so a
all
few
kind of-
different kind of areas. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. And if you had to, because I think always everyone likes quick fire things, don't they? If you could sum it up into maybe like 3 words, how would you describe the play?
Oh, what a difficult one.
Only 3.
Only 3.
Think of them like hashtags.
Absurdist, farcical. Give me another one, Kirsten. Help me out.
Just like it's funny. Keep
Funny.
it simple.
So lots of comedic words then, so it's going to be a
Oh,
real
yeah.
fun thing to watch.
Yeah, it's actually quite. Even though I've kind of described all this, this review show being these critics talking in this
It's not
very
as serious as that might sound.
No, it's not meant to be taken seriously. It's fun, it's lively, it's energetic, and it's some of the characters are a bit wacky, and it's a lot of fun.
And apart from obviously it being really, really fun, why else do you think, obviously we've got 16 shows on, what do you think is the thing that makes yours stand out? Like, why would an audience think, come and see this one instead? Like, what's the selling point for it? What could they take away from it?
I think one of the things I hope that people will take from it is that it's very meta. It's very it's self-referential. It's like a play about a playwright, and there's all these, you'll see it. There's all these references and all these lines that are kind of citing playwriting and citing reviewing and citing. It's all very kind of like knowing about the industry that we're in, if that makes sense. So people should hear lines from it and go,
I get that.
Yeah.
And is it completely highbrow, or could kind of anyone grab something from it as well?
I don't think it's completely highbrow. I think it's actually pretty lowbrow in places. Some of the abuse that these critics.
Yeah, I
give
think it
each
comes
other.
across. I mean, I've obviously read the script. I've had the honour of reading a lot of the scripts before they go on stage, and I actually think that it's really accessible, and the highbrow nature of it leans into some of the most farce moments of it, of people who take themselves very seriously in certain situations, and then that gets flipped on its head. So, yeah, I think it's very accessible and quite funny.
Amazing. And so we do have to wrap up now. If you just want to let everyone know when and where they can see it, if you'd like to, or we can fill in any gaps.
So it's on August the 29th at the Floral Pavilion, and the show time is 5:30.
And it should be about an hour long. A lot of our shows are no more than an hour. And it is part of the Wirral Theatre Festival. And you'll be able to get your tickets either direct from the Floral. You can also go onto their website and ring up. But if you search Wirral Theatre Festival, there's the website. You can read more about the play, see any rehearsal footage we may have and stuff. And there's also links to the tickets in there. So thank you very much for joining us, Ted, Kirsten, and Craig, as always.
Goodbye.
We'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.